Hi, I'm Michael Nadlin, and I've got the amazing Cory Lindholm here today, and we are the PPC Unfiltered podcast. Today, we're doing a segment on something that's really important to both of us, and especially because we're recording a podcast, is about how to unpick or pick at content about Google Ads, advertising, business, even marketing in general, to pick out the things that are actually relevant and practical and what are going to work versus the things that just won't. So, Cory, how you going, mate?
Dude, this is exciting. I'm doing good, man. This is an exciting topic. Guys, I don't want to just be shit talking here. Like we're not haters. I'm not trying to throw shade on other content creators. This is difficult work, and a lot of us are doing this for free without sponsorship. So I just want to at least disclaim, right, Michael? Like we're not trying to just talk shit. We want to give our honest opinion for people because I know. There's a lot of people looking for good stuff, and there's a lot of crap out there. So we wanted to help you in deciphering the good from the bad as best as possible.
Awesome. So the first thing we've got to start off with is just the content in general. So it's like, what type of content are you looking at? Is it very specialized content on like Google Ads, advanced Google Ads strategy, or is it generic Google Ads, or is it marketing in general, or is it business in general? So it's about how focused or magnified you were going into it. So look, let's have more of a conversation today about this. When you look at it stuff, how do you kind of like filter out the stuff that you're like, this is someone just creating content for content's sake versus this is actually really powerful, practical material? Like, what do you do?
Yeah. So one thing I'll say is, do I recognize this dude or chick or whatever? Sorry, people, lady or gentleman. How do do I recognize them? Because the longer you do this, like you meet almost everybody at some point, whether that's just through a message or at a conference or something. If this person just came out of nowhere, and I know people are going to be like, oh, I don't know who you are. And it's like, fair, totally fair. But I put stuff out there all the time and I have for a while. But yeah, like you can't go to every conference. So I get it. But do I recognize the person? Like, does this person seem like they know what they're talking about? And this is a tough one to really explain to people. But when you've done it this long, are they using words that are just guru speak? Or do they throw in some jargon every once in a while? They throw in some abbreviations and it kind of looks accidental. Like, do they just say cost per click every time? Or they say CPCs? Like, because most of us really do it, right? It's like CPCs. I'm not going to like say cost per click every freaking day. It's too many words. So I don't know. That's a couple of things I look for. Jargony. Do I know this? Do I recognize this person at all? Have they ever put out stuff that I saved and favorited in the past? Those are a couple of things.
Yeah,
that's good. How about you? What's something that like really stands out to you when you look for it?
Yeah, so I've been doing like personal education stuff for about 10, maybe 15 years now. So like personal development, spiritual development, business development as well. And when you're early on, you just kind of just go, they're saying the things I want to hear. So it's about trying to make sure that I'm not just getting some sort of confirmation bias or my flawed thinking existing. So actually going, am I liking what I'm hearing? Because that might actually be a flaw because they might just be like continuing the cycle. So what I really am focused on right now, and this is a really big thing for me, as I've mentioned in our first episode, was I read this book called Principles by Ray Dalio, and there's a wonderful concept in it called believability. And it's just like the believability test, which is basically, one, is this person actually getting the result I want? Two, have they gotten that result multiple times and have a track record of success? And then three, do they have a very clear cause and effect explanation for it? So there's a lot of people, I've never invested in crypto because I don't understand it. But a lot of people have come online and said they're a crypto guru, maybe because they bought one crypto coin. And then they don't have a track record of success. Maybe they got one really good one and 30 bad ones. So it's like you're cherry picking the data. And then the third is like actually having a clear understanding of their cause and effect to their logical reasoning for making decisions. So when I watch content by anyone and anything, I'm just going, are they just saying stuff? Like, show me results, show me proof. And sometimes that is really hard online because, I'm not going to show my clients private data, but I will show the clients I've worked with. People say positive stuff about the stuff I do. And I'll always preface that everything I say is from my experience. I'm not rehashing stuff. So whilst people could not believe me for that or not believe it. I always try to look for people who are talking about stuff from their experience, not that they're saying, this is how you do Google Ads. It's like, this is how I've done Google Ads for the last 10 years. I've worked with clients who have, clients doing $1 billion in sales and clients doing $100,000 in sales. And these are the products and themes I've seen. And these are the things I've noticed. Now, these won't work for everyone, but this is what worked for me most of the time. Like something like that, that's a bit more honest. So just getting to actually just trying to see what they're talking about. Can you actually start to see, are they doing guru speak, or are they talking about their experience and then sharing it out? Like the best people, and I'm going to go on a rant now, but I'll finish this up. The best people that we look up to in society, maybe sports people, people who have overcome adversity. And what you're doing is you buy into their story. They're not teaching like success principles. They're talking about their experience at life or their success. And then you get to pick out the thing that's important. So what's super important for me is looking for people with actual experience and then just trying to like get the golden nugget from them, maybe directly, but more often indirectly. What are your thoughts on that, mate?
Yeah, no, I agree. To me, I almost think about it like, does this person sound like a data analyst? Because if they don't, they're probably not doing the work. They're probably not doing the work. Like if they don't think through, like if I don't see their thinking in terms of filtering things, in terms of date ranges, in terms of cleanliness, sample size, I'm worried about the objectivity that they have as well as their real experience doing it. Because I imagine they're probably just a content creator at that point, and they're not. Honestly, guys, like PPC specialists, this is my belief. We're just glorified data analysts. The data that we analyze is just PPC data. Now that might be controversial, but I actually think it's a compliment to us, because if you really think about it, we're not just hitting buttons in the interface. We know what we're doing. We're looking at data and we're understanding outliers. We're understanding where to optimize and where to not spend time, and where to not to touch things is very important. This is something people always forget. Sometimes it's not about making as many changes as possible. More often than not, it's, I don't know how many times you've done this, like where you work on a project for like 6 hours, you're analyzing all this data, and then at the end of it, you don't change a thing. And it's like, oh, it's so brutal, because that's what you wanted. You wanted to like find an opportunity to push something or pull something back, but you just can't. The sample size is too small. You can't make that statistically confident decision. It's painful. I mean, I had that last year where it was like 16 hours on this project, and I couldn't change anything. Basically, my analysis led to, we can't touch it right now. I was like, oh, this is brutal. This is so brutal. But that's the truth, guys, honestly. So when I look at content creators, if they don't sound like data analysts, I'm a little bit cautious. And I think maybe they're just really brilliant and they're able to simplify things in a great way. And they really do that stuff, but they have the art of being able to simplify things really well. But again, I lean towards someone that kind of sounds like a nerd and sounds like they're lost in spreadsheets all day.
So that seems like it's about a lot of like critical thinking, but strategic thinking as well. Like picking up if someone's like really being critical, not doing things for whatever sake. And strategic thinking. And that's on the Google Ads space, like seeing if they do have that, they have that analyst mind. I personally, and this is just this phase of my life, and I hope this is actually probably a good universal principle for most people, is you want to be learning from someone who's actually doing the thing. Like you don't want to learn from someone who's did it like 5 years ago, or who's the CEO of the company who was doing it 5 years ago. And they're just getting they're getting the filtered information from like one client out of 50 clients, and it was just like this one cherry pick thing. Like someone who learning from someone who does it day by day, they're going to be more humble and actually just go, if I say this thing that's actually not correct, I might get all these clients who expect that same thing, and they kind of know that the first degree would be, the consequence would be all this like positive inflow of like people being interested. But then the second, third degree consequence is like, I've got to do this thing that I don't even believe works. So learning from someone who's actually executing it day to day, being in any area of life, is they actually become almost liable that if they put stuff out there that's not correct, they're going to actually like deal with it. So That's why with all the content I put out, it's only about stuff that I'm experiencing, getting results now that work most of the time. I can't say all of the time, but if it's some of the time, no. But if it's most of the time, that's what I talk about, because when people do reach out to me and I get, I got 3 new like business leads today. I got 3 yesterday. Like, people hit me up a lot, and I've just got to make sure that if I'm to work with them, I can get the result for them. And I don't want to be putting content out there or saying things that I can't deliver on. And I think that's what I've got to look for in content creators is, do I really think that they'll deliver on what they say? And I see a lot of people, as you probably do as well, mate, on LinkedIn, who just kind of say stuff. I'm like, I can tell you don't have many clients. I can tell you are not really, or even they've got a lot of clients, but they're not working with big clients. And it's really hard to, man, there's just so much information in the world.
Yeah. That's a good point.
Information.
Big versus small account management. I think you're onto something there. I think it's pretty obvious when they only work with like plumbers and lawyers or something. It's just, they're just going through the motions, because you can tell there's not this layer of complexity that really should be there. If they're just able to oversimplify it that much, probably not working with a client who has a lot of data that is also aware of their data, and they're aware of what good versus bad management looks like, because they probably tried 100 agencies by now after the 2 or 3 decades of doing this. So yeah, I think that's a good point. I'd also say too,
it's
like,
important to,
oh, go ahead.
Sorry, man.
Oh, you're good.
No,
I was just going to say really, really fast. Because I get this with consulting clients too, when they ask these questions about, what's good content, or they'll send me a video and they'll be like, can you watch this for 25 minutes for free and then tell me your thoughts? It's like, sorry, no. Like, I hate to say it, guys, I'm super busy. I just can't do that for free. If we want to do it together and talk about it while we do it, okay, I might be interested in doing that. But anyway, that's a whole nother thing. But I always ask them to think critically about this content in the sense of what biases or interests does the person have in talking about this. And what I mean is, like, if you hear them complicating something, is there a vested reason or interest for them to make it complicated, i.e. an agency that is like trying to move things away from a simplified approach? Just trying to think more critically, man. Like, why is this person saying this? Like, what is their reason for putting this out there? If they talk about a lot of things and this is just one of 100 things that they've talked about, cool. But are they coming at it and just saying, this is the way to do it? Like, this old way sucks and this is the only way to do it. That for me is a huge red flag, especially when they're only showing me one account. Like, you talked about that, like just cherry picking one account and then just saying, oh, this is the new rule. It's like, nah, man, like, come on. Because and you'll see that in comments of those posts from people who really do this stuff, right? They're like, well, bro, is this like one account, or is this like, is it 100 accounts? Like, is it only one industry that you're finding this in? Like, those are people I like to follow, because those guys are thinking about it the right way. It's like, okay, let's dissect it. Like, it sounds like you found an anomaly of a strategy or tactic. Let's break it apart. Is it industry specific? Is it pricing specific? Blah, blah, blah. So I also really like to mention that. And that's very, very important for me.
Yeah, mate. And also, just to add to that, is date range specific. It could just be cherry picked within a certain date range that there was a massive outlier. I worked with someone and they were wanting just to get some data, and I was having to chop and change it in analytics and use different date ranges and all this stuff to produce like a really high conversion rate for a report. I was like, gee, this is getting ridiculous. But that's what happens. People want to sell. And talking about that complexity, I feel like I simplify things too much where I self-empower people, so I lose clients. I give away like too much. I'm like,
it's easy.
So it's fun. It's like, it's easy after you've done this for 10 years and you've got to just do these 3 things and then you do them and then you get results. Because advertising, as our last chat was about, is really like, it really is like an 80-20 approach. But most of the time, people don't do the 80-20. It's like going to a doctor. Like, most of the time, people's illnesses are around weight and stress. And the doctor could just go, lose some weight, go see a psychologist, meditate. And then a lot of those. But then it's that 20% that you do need that expertise to really move the needle. And that's where a lot of our clients come to, where they've done most of that 80% and then they're coming for that 20%. But for content, most of the time people are like, I just think about and like a pyramid where most people are not at the tip where they're the advanced. Some people are in their medium. Most people are just beginners with content. So not to throw shade on content creators, because like most of the time they're just appealing to people who are just coming in, who are wanting to self-educate for free. And if they do want to invest, it might just be in a course that's a few $100s rather than paying thousands a month for management with someone like us. And people do want to self-learn, but it's really that balance between what is their motive. So my motive of doing the market lead channel is to create an authority. You know, I've been doing this for 10 years. I want to get some recognition. Like, that'd be great. Same with this podcast. And then obviously just to attract the right clients through it. So I've attracted really amazing clients just through they've seen my stuff and they've watched it for a while and they've reached out to me. So it's about like for me, it's more of a long-term game of client attraction. Not to get $1 today. It's more like, how do I like attract a client in 6 to 12 months time? That's like, they've watched my stuff. They know my working style. So when we start talking, they just like, they've already done they've already learned how I operate. So then when we start working together, it's easy.
I love that. Yeah, I love that idea of the pyramid. That it makes me think that how many content creators, maybe the majority in this space, are just people who know the basics, but they're really good content creators. So people are just like, man, this person knows it all. Like any course or any book that they put out there, I'm buying that thing. And it's like, they might not realize this person actually doesn't really do it themselves, or maybe they've only actually managed like 100 accounts in their career, but they're just really excellent course creators or really excellent book writers or whatever it is, but they don't really know how to get your account to the next level. And you're going to hit that kind of wall at some point. So that's a really good point.
Well, once again, I wish I was more of a content creator. I'd be making way more money, because there's more money in content creation and course creation than there is in the actual doing of the work. Like, I know you and I are probably in that for people like like specialists like us, or I own an agency now, we're probably in the top 10% of that. But most people are in the 90%, the bottom 90%. But with content creation, you could be making nearly as much as we could, or we do, by just doing courses, by just appealing to the masses. But you've got to stick to the lane of the thing that you're actually going to do. So if someone's actually been putting out content for a long time, at least they're like sticking to their game. They're not a fly by night person. The challenge I have is seeing these people with channels who do talk about everything, and then they've got like a video on like the ultimate Google ads thing. It's like, dude, you can't. Like, I know this is like the real simplified approach, but even looking at this is not what's going to help people. So I don't need to get into some Puritan approach right now, but I'm really focused on, I've spent a lot of years learning stuff, and a lot of it was rubbish. And it's just like, now I've got to like critically think, are the information that I'm getting, is it from someone who's actually getting results? Yes or no? Like, if they're not getting results, I just shut off. Like, I can't even entertain, because they might tell me one thing, but they'll be telling me 20 other things that will just like be mind viruses for me. And then if they are getting results, prove it to me, show it across multiple clients, and really like have conviction in it, and then explain to me very clearly how this happens. And then by doing that, I can kind of go like, that they're getting results. That actually doesn't, like, their cause and effect, that doesn't make sense to me, but maybe it's because my thinking is flawed. I'm so focused on this that there's another road. And that's what's really important. Well, that's for me, at least.
Yeah. No, I love that. Yep, definitely. I think there's a lot in there, man. I think we've covered maybe not all of it, but most of it. I think this is valuable for people. And guys, again, we did not intend to hurt anyone's feelings. Congrats to anyone that has the courage to sit in front of a microphone and a camera and talk about something they may or may not know very much about. Honestly, it does take a lot of courage, especially for some people. So shout out to you guys, props to you guys for giving it a shot. Even if you're new, like, hey, you got to get yourself out there one way or another. Just don't overpromise and lie about your experience and say you've done it for whatever long period, or that you are the best at this. Like, that's ridiculous. Like, you're eventually going to get called out on your shit, I would hope. Just come at it from a humble place. People will, if they're looking for someone probably more inexpensive, or they're okay with you being less experienced because you don't charge as much, or whatever it is, or they just like you and they want to buy from you, props to you. Congrats. Yeah. Keep doing your thing. So
makes it so much easier when you tell the truth and you're just a good person.
Absolutely. Cool.
So,
All
mate,
right.
let's
Anything
wrap
else?
this up. Corey,
Yeah.
how can
Let's
people
do it.
find you?
You guys can find me on LinkedIn and also throw out an occasional YouTube video every once in a while.
Nice, mate. And on this podcast.
And on this
people
podcast.
can find me on LinkedIn. People can find me on LinkedIn, Michael Nadlin, marketlead.com.au, and MarketLead on YouTube as well. So, Corey, thanks for your time, mate. This was an awesome chat today. Really good just to clarify these things. Have an awesome day, mate.
You too, man. Let's get one more thumbs up with the fireworks in the background. Yeah. Come on, Michael, one more. Oh, no. There it is. There. Take care, everybody.